Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the weirdest books that I've read in 2023 so far. I'm just going to get started because I have a lot of thoughts on all of these books. So I'm going to be talking about 5 books, so let's get started. So this is not in the order of when I read the books, this is just random, but the first book is called Milk Fed by Melissa Broder. Basically this story is about a 20-something-year-old lapsed Jewish girl named Rachel who is struggling with an eating disorder. And I just want to preface to say this book may be triggering for some who struggle with their own eating disorders, so I wouldn't actually recommend this book because this book kind of goes into detail of calorie counting and restriction and obsessive food rituals. So Rachel works for a talent management company and she does comedy sometimes. She meets a young Orthodox Jewish girl named Miriam who works at her favorite frozen yogurt shop, and Miriam kind of teaches her basically how to eat. And Rachel, throughout the book, she develops a kind of weird obsession with Miriam, the bigger girl who's not afraid to eat what she wants and dress how she wants. And Rachel is disgusted by this, but kind of also entranced by this. Like, she's interested in this, she's fascinated by it. Like, she kind of looks at Miriam as a kind of wild animal, exotic animal or something, because like I said, Rachel has her own eating disorder, which was kind of caused by her mother, because if I remember correctly, as a child she was kind of chubby and she was always put on diets by her mother. So yeah, she can't really understand how Miriam is able to just eat, basically. She's also entranced by her relationship with her family and her own religion. As I said, Rachel's eating disorder was kind of caused or brought on by her mother, and obviously that would put a strain on her relationship. I think her mother was kind of like very controlling, obviously, so they have a strained relationship. And Miriam and her family, they have nice relationships, so she can't understand that. And she meets her family and she enjoys spending time with her family because, you know, it's like something that she's always wanted, you know, having a, you know, good family dynamics. So yeah, and she's also kind of entranced by her relationship with her religion, because Rachel, she doesn't really practice her religion anymore, so she kind of rekindles her relationship with her faith. I think what was weird about this book was there was a lot of weird things about this book. This whole book was weird, but this book was weird because of Rachel's relationship with Miriam, because it kind of felt like she had some sort of freaky fetish for her because she was fat, and it was really hard and kind of uncomfortable to read. And on the reviews, this book was called erotic, but I don't think that I would have called it erotic. The sex scenes were very weird, and there were some scenes where Rachel was masturbating, and if I remember correctly, she was thinking about her mother. Like, I think she was like masturbating to the thought of her mother. Like, it was just weird, like just weird freaky stuff. But I think that this book had a cool concept, a girl trying to heal her relationship with food and her strained relationship with her mother, but I don't think that it was executed very well. It didn't come together well, but I think this book was pretty easy to breeze through. Now the next book I want to talk about is Lavona, and I think this is probably the weirdest book on this list. This book was written by Otessa Mosfe, and that's literally the only reason why I read the book, because I wanted to start getting into her books. So basically the story follows the life of a 13-year-old peasant boy. I don't know how to say his name correctly, but we're gonna try. His name is Marek. Marek's mother was raped by her brother, and I think it was her brother. It could have been her cousin, but she was definitely raped by somebody that she was related to. But Marek wasn't raised by his mother. He was raised by his mother's husband, and all his life he thought that his mother had died during childbirth. So he was raised by his father, or a man who reluctantly believed was his father, because Marek's mother had bright red hair and so did Marek. So the husband had trouble believing that was his son because he had like dark brown hair, if I remember correctly. Now, why is this book weird? This book, okay, if that wasn't weird enough, what I just told you, how Marek was conceived, like, if that wasn't weird enough, wait till you hear this. Like, wait till you hear the rest of the story. So the book takes place in the Middle Ages, and it features a lot of dark things that I'm pretty sure actually happened in the Dark Ages. There was a lot of incest, a lot of rape, cannibalism, pedophilia, etc. in this book. And there's a couple of scenes of rape in this book, and they're very graphic. And there's also scenes of masturbation, and it's just really uncomfortable, and it's really weird, and it's really freaky. But I think what was interesting about this book was the story of like Lavona's king. I can't remember his name, but he was like an immature and greedy king. He was like constantly eating. He always had like these big feasts with a lot of food, and he always had like I forgot what it's called, but you know those people that they had back then for entertainment, like the comedy type of people. But he always had to have some type of performance. He was very unserious. Like, he was very unserious. He always thought everything was a joke. He always wanted to laugh. He always wanted to giggle. Like, I guess that's not bad, but he was a freak. He did some freaky things. So don't think he's like, oh, he's like Baby Girl or something. Like, no, he was a freak, because he caused like an unnatural drought in Latvona. I don't want to go into specific details because I honestly can't remember, and I don't want to spoil everything, but he basically caused a drought for Latvona, and the people, they literally starved to death, and they had to eat some of their farm animals, and then eventually they ate each other to survive. And then finally the drought ends, and they pretend like nothing happened. They just went through life as if nothing happened. And I thought this whole plot line was interesting, because although it's a work of fiction, I'm pretty sure stuff like this probably happened during the Middle Ages. So I just thought it was like an interesting commentary on like class and kind of how corrupt a government can be. Another part of this book, the king takes in Marek because Marek's father is related to the king, so he takes him in. I can't remember why he took him in, but he took him in for some reason. He takes Marek in, and he kind of uses him for his own entertainment, and it's really weird. Okay, so Marek isn't even a likable character, but you kind of feel empathetic towards him because he's literally a product of his environment. He has such a depressing life. Like, he was literally born from rape and incest, and his mother left him, and he was raised by a father who literally like abused him. And when his father was like working, he was also raised by this old lady who used to breastfeed all the children in the area, and they had some weird freaky relationship, like sexual relationship, like, and there were scenes that go into detail of their weird freaky relationship. This book was just so weird. It was so weird. I don't know, this was just freaky, and I think this was a very weird introduction to the author's books. I don't think I would recommend this at all, but I mean, if you're a freak, if you want to read something freaky, go ahead. Like, that's all you. But this was weird. So the next weird book that I read was Fatal Eggs by Mikhail Bulgakov. To be honest, I feel like this was the least weird book that I've read. This book the story follows Professor Persakov, a zoologist who stumbles upon a red ray of light that can accelerate the growth and reproduction rates of living organisms. This all happens during a plague that affects Russia's chicken population, and the government hears about this ray of light, and they use Persakov's discovery to try and fix the chicken plague or whatever. But they end up creating more problems that are even worse. So something goes wrong, and they end up making genetic mutations of different animals, and these genetic mutations basically wreak havoc on the city of Moscow. This wasn't even that weird, but it was still kind of weird because the Professor Persakov, he was kind of weird. Like, I don't know, he was a bit pretentious, and like, he was just annoying. I don't know. Now, this book was a satire, so it was obviously meant to be weird because it was written in 1924, which is during Joseph Stalin's rise to power. And the book basically criticizes the beliefs of the Bolsheviks, which is was a Russian political faction. And I'm also going based off of the review I wrote on my Instagram, so that's why I'm looking down at my computer. I wrote, according to Lauren R. Graham's Lysenko's Ghost, the Bolsheviks believed that science was the answer to the spiritual and physical problems of Russia. The ray of light that speeds up reproduction is red, or the color of the revolution. The book was a satire, so that's honestly why it was weird, but again, it wasn't even that weird. Like, it was just, I wouldn't even say it was weird. I'd say it was more so quirky. Now, I'm not too educated on Stalin's rise to power and the Soviet Union time period of Russia, but I think I still relatively enjoy this book. I think I enjoyed this book out of all of the books I talk about in this video. It was pretty short, a little over 100 pages, and it was easy to read. Like, it was very simple. There was very simple language. I wouldn't recommend this book to everybody though. Like, I'd only recommend it to people who are like Russian history buffs or like people who are trying to get out of a reading slump. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that book. Now, the final book is Breakfast of Champions, written by Kurt Vonnegut. You've probably heard of this book because the book is fairly popular. I thought I would enjoy this book, but to be honest, I really didn't enjoy this book. I know this author, Kurt Vonnegut, he's known for writing weird and satirical novels, but this was probably the weirdest and worst book that I've read by him. I used to read his books a lot in high school. I don't know, I just really liked his books in high school for some reason, but I haven't read his books in a long time, so I forgot how he wrote, but sorry, that's outside. I can't do anything about that. So I feel like this story was weird for the sake of being weird. So the story follows two men, an aging writer named Kilgore Trout, who's finally getting the recognition that he's always wanted after all these years, and Dwayne Hoover, a car dealer from the Midwest. The story is basically the lead up to Dwayne Hoover losing his mind and attacking Kilgore and a whole bunch of other people after reading one of Kilgore's books. And the sequence was built up as some sort of big event, but when it happened, it was so underwhelming. Like, when the big event was happening, I didn't even realize until after I finished the passage that the big event was happening. And also, what I actually thought was weird about the book was, well, honestly, everything about this book was weird. Like I said, like, it was weird for the sake of being weird. Like, for example, Kilgore's books weren't even traditionally published. They were published through pornographic magazines. And, like, why? Like, why did it have to be pornographic magazines? Like, I don't understand. Like, it didn't add anything to the story. And in the book, there's a lot of, like, random passages about, like, porn and beavers. I don't want to say the actual word because I don't want this video to get like flagged or something, but I think you know what I mean by beavers. And it literally added nothing to the story, as I said. And there's even some pictures of beavers in this book, as well as some other random drawings, and the drawings take up half the page and they literally add nothing to the story. Like I said, for example, it'll be like Kilgore hitched a ride with a truck driver, and then it'll be like the truck looked like this, like it'd be a drawing of a truck, and it wasn't even like some elaborate drawing. It was just like a simple drawing that anybody can do. Like, why? Like, I don't, okay. And then there was also a scene at the end of the book where Vonnegut broke the fourth wall and told Kilgore he was his creator, but the self-insert was literally so random and pointless. It literally added nothing to the story. Like, I didn't understand the purpose of that. But I think the best part of this book was the commentary on class and race. There was other commentary, I can't remember, but this book is from 1924, so the commentary was the best part of the book, but honestly, I don't think the commentary was anything special. Maybe for the time period, it was something like groundbreaking, but you know, nowadays, like, there's always social commentary, so I feel like the stuff he talked about was nothing I've never heard before, so it was like, okay, cool. But honestly, I feel like that's what held the stories together, and I don't understand why this book has such good reviews. I don't even think this was his best book. Like, I haven't read all of his books, but I know for a fact this wasn't even his best book. I honestly think it was one of his worst books. Like I said, I haven't read his books since high school, but I feel like his best book would probably be like Slaughterhouse 5 or something, or literally anything else. But anyways, that's all for the video. That's all I have to say on all these books. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know if you've read any of these books and your thoughts and opinions on these books, or some weird books that you've read yourself. So yeah, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video with everyone you know, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!